Okay, I'm just setting this up. Hopefully it's better than yesterday. Okay. It's too quiet, Rabbi. Somebody say something. Okay. Today's shir. Today's shir is being sponsored to coincide with the Shuvu School Network fundraising campaign at charity.com/shuvu. I don't know if we do that, but okay, they stuck it in here. In honor of Talmidim at the school who have gone on to cover many dapim in Shas. Okay, fine. Shuvu, a charity. Now, by the Sherman family of Kew Garden Hills, in honor of my Rebbe, the esteemed Reb Eli Stefansky. I should read this stuff beforehand. The esteemed Reb Eli Stefansky Shlita, yeah?
I think your mic is not connected right.
What's the matter? Oh, yeah. What do you mean I'm not connected? The sound on Zoom is not good?
Yeah.
I don't have a microphone for Zoom. That's the problem. So what happened yesterday? How did it work yesterday? Why is it different than yesterday? You guys hear me or no?
Because we hear you, but it's coming out of the...
Okay, so I'll tell you what. So you need to get, maybe send Yeshua over with the other microphone. The small microphone like this. This microphone that has a small piece. I think that's what we were using last time. Yeah, we're missing it.
Okay.
All right, so let me repeat again because it was so chashuv. By the Sherman family of Kew Garden Hills, in honor of my Rebbe, the esteemed Reb Eli Stefansky Shlita. Shall I say it again? And Yehoshua, Aaron Price, and Yosef Bilyag, Gary, Ben Moshe, it says here, and the technical team, and everyone else at MDY and 8minutedaf.com for unbelievable job they do in spreading Torah across the globe. On this, the 7th of Tammuz, the end of the first 6 months of this Daf Yomi cycle. Okay, so I guess today is 6 months in. Thank you for allowing me to learn Torah from you consistently since the 8th of Teves. May Hashem grant you the ability to continue to spread Torah for many, many more years to come. Amen. May we be zoicha to be able to join you soon in person. Shkayach. Thank you. Beautiful. Okay. I don't know what that means. Something about official catering is sponsoring Ahmed Beis today. Short email here. Dear Rebelli, this is from Eliezer Kessler. His wife is the one that has that Navi thing inspired by our shir. Navi for women on WhatsApp. Thank you for mentioning the Tanakh Yomi program and asking that Yosef send out the link. Over 100 new participants joined. Yishkoyach. I also wanted to send a hearty Yishkoyach to Yosef for his hard work and Reb Nachman Seltzer for his kind words. Yosef gave me an idea of some of the work that goes on behind the scenes and is amazing. WhatsApp only allows 256 members per group. The 8-minute daf has 46 groups. That means you are reaching 11,776 people with each message. Yeah, but he forgot all the groups that I send out. And he forgot all the people that watch on the app. And some people watch on YouTube, and some people watch on all daf, and some people watch whatever. B'kitzer, we're over 15,000, Baruch Hashem. But every Jew has it figured out how much money planning makes, and this, and make the cheshbon. Okay, it's a good cheshbon, not bad. I'm not knocking his cheshbon, but it's not exact. 11,776 people that Yosef sends out. That's true. Yosef is in charge of that. He says that the text message we receive takes about an hour to send to everyone. This is almost a full-time job. May Hashem give you all the strength to be able to keep up the great work. Eliezer Kessler, Yishkoyach to Yosef Bilyag, does an amazing job getting it out. People think he's Machal Shabbos because it comes a couple of hours after he sends it on Friday, and it comes in on Shabbos. Bekitzer, it's Geshmak. All right, new parak, Rabbi Isai. Daf, Kuf, Tes, Vav, Omid Aleph, brand new parak. This is a parak that's going to be discussing what you're permitted to say from a fire, what not. All the way at the end of the parak, goes into Amir La'akum, the whole thing. Nachi Shidduch Saner. Fine. Says the Mishnah, Kol kisvei hakodesh matzilin oisam ipnei hadleika. You're allowed to save any ksavim. That means Torah, Nevi'im, and Ksuvim mipnei hadleika, from a fire. I don't remember exactly what year it was, but I was in the Mir Yeshiva in Brooklyn when I was a kid. I think it's somewhere around 1983, but I might be off by 5 years in either direction. And in middle of davening, like Musaf time, there was a fire in the boiler room, and somebody started screaming, "Fire, fire!" and everybody jumped out of their seats, and there was panic and chaos. But somebody ran to the Aron Kodesh and he started chucking the Sifrei Torah out of the Aron Kodesh. Literally, that's what I remember as a kid. They were going out the window. I don't know if I'm sure somebody's on the other side of the window. They were out the window. They took everything out of the Aron Kodesh and threw it out. Mir in Brooklyn. If you remember that story, let me know. Akobanim, you're allowed to save. Now, what's the problem of saving a Sefer Torah? Like the Gemara is going to later explain, not today. There's a problem of this Tirchi Yisera. It's a little bit too much work that typically you're not allowed to do unless it's a Sefer Torah. And also because of the type of Eruv that we're discussing. There's a problem with the sheet of Mavais, whatever. Bein shekarim bahen ubein shein karim bahem. Whether these are Nevi'im that you read from, or whether these are Ksuvim that you don't read from. Now, we don't read Ksuvim. Now in Shul we certainly don't read Ksuvim. But Rashi brings here a beautiful Rabbeinu Alevi. And this has to do with the end of the Mishnah, but we'll jump here and stick it in, that they made a gzeira that people should not read Ksuvim on Shabbos, because what happens is Ksuvim are gishmak. They're really gishmak to read. You have Mishle, you have Koheles, Tehillim. Don't read it on Shabbos, because if you read it, you're not going to go to Shul and listen to the drashas and hear halachas and Gemara. So, Bein Shekarim Behem, whether these are Nevi'im that you read them, Bein She'ein Karim Behem, whether these are Ksuvim that you don't read. Now, this Mishnah is going to need a lot of help. Just the wording doesn't really fit in according to anyone. And we're going to have to stick in a word here, a word there to make it work. So we're going according to the Manda Amar right now that says you're not allowed to read from, let's say, a Sefer Torah, Megillah, whatever it is that was written in another language. You're not allowed to read from it. So even though it was written in another language, let's say somebody wrote an art scroll, Chumash, all in English. So what? So if you just read it simply, so even though it was written in English, you have to bury it. What about, are you allowed to save it? So the Gemara is going to go into it because something's missing here. And why don't we read from these ksuvim? We explained a second ago that people shouldn't just sit back and enjoy themselves learning koheles and mishle and all the stuff, the gishmak stuff from ksuvim. They should come to the Beis Medrash and listen. I'll just throw in here real quickly that an art scroll Gemara, let's say, if it was completely in English, bizman hazeh, you could save from a fire. Why? Because of the concept of Eis Lasois Lashem Efer Torasecha, they permitted us to write things down in English, in different languages. So therefore, once it was permitted to be written down and to learn from, then I have to save it from a fire. Is in those days that you weren't allowed to write it in English, you weren't allowed to translate. That was the problem. That's the machlokes, whether or not you could. But Bizman Hazeh you could. The very interesting shaila is, what if all these art scrolls are made by Goyim, let's say, yeah? The factory is full of Goyim. So if you, the Jew, own it, great. What if an art scroll was written by a guy and owned by a guy? Do you have a chiyuv to save it or not? It's a shaila the Mishnah Berurah discusses. And he says it's asur because there's no Eis Lasois Lashem Efer Torasecha on his art scroll. I remember, I'm thinking now, there was a big flood or a tornado in Florida, and this African American guy, he brought his art scroll stuff out, and he said, this is the only thing that was saved. It was on the news. I remember this WhatsApp was going around. He said, this is what was saved, these art scrolls. Anyway, so if it's owned by him, there's no Eis Lasois Lashem Efer Torasecha. They weren't matter for him. So therefore, you don't have to save his English translated books. Our English translated Svarim, we have to save. Says the Gemara, so now we'll explain it a little bit better. Where is that? Oh. Itmar. Hayu ksuvim targum oy b'chol lashon. All these Svarim, Kol Kisvei HaKodesh, anything, Tanakh, Torah Nevi'im Ksuvim, if they were translated Targum, meaning in Aramaic, oy b'chol lashon, or in English, Rav Huna Omar, Ei matzilin oisan mipnei adleika. Rav Chizda Omar, matzilin oisan mipnei adleika. So Machlaik is Rav Huna and Rav Chizda. We're going to go to town on Rav Huna. We don't like Rav Huna. The Gemara goes crazy on Rav Huna, keeps on attacking him. Rav Chizda is safe from this attack, completely. So Rav Huna says that you don't save these Svarim. Imagine, you have a Shas written in English, translated in English, or not a Shas. Let's talk about Nevi'im for a second. Nevi'im, in English, you don't save it. You let it burn. It says Hashem's name, the Bible, whatever. You let it burn. Ei matzilin. Rav Chizda Omar matzilin loisim v'nei adleika. We're going to see, yes, the Gemara is going to attack Rav Yosef over and over, Rav Huna, over and over. But the Gemara says that he has a Tana that he relies on. So he's good. That's the end of the sugya. So it says the Gemara, according to the Manda Omar that you could read from them, meaning, if you could read from it, that means you could write it. So if you could read from it, so it's a regular sefer, you have to save. I mean, you can't have Hashem's name go up in flames. Hashem's Torah go up in flames. That's if you can read from it. The whole machlokes between Rav Huna and Rav Chizda is when you're not allowed to read from it. You're not allowed to read from it. Do I allow it to burn or not? Rav Huna, what's the point of saving it? You can't even read from it. It doesn't have Kedusha. Let it go. Let it burn. Rav Chizda Omar, matzilin, mishum bezoyin kisvei hakodesh. Again, we're talking about going out of your way, carrying heavy stuff on Shabbos. Perhaps you shouldn't be doing this. So Rav Chizda says it's still a bezoyin for kisvei hakodesh. It has some kedusha. It's the holy word written there. You can't just let it go up in flames. So how does this fit in with our Mishnah? You just read from the Mishnah. It says, let's read the Mishnah ourselves. Doesn't matter if it's Nevi'im. And then it says, it says Mefurish. Even if it was written in any language, Tuning Gniza. So it would seem almost from our Mishnah that if it was written in another language, it needs Gniza, so it has Kedusha, you should save it. That's what it would seem like, to me at least. Says the Gemara, Tanan, we learned in our Mishnah, Kol Kisvei HaKodesh, Matzilin Oisim V'nei Adleika. You save it from a fire. Ben Shekarim Bem, Ben Shenkarim Bem, whether it's Nevi'im or Ksuvim, Ava Bishuk Ksuvim B'chol Lashon, even though it's written in any language. My love, Shekarim Behem Nevi'im, V'shein Karim Behem Ksuvim. Now, the Gemara is going to say this line, and we're sticking with this. This is the real pshat, and this is how we explained it in the Mishnah, and nobody argues on this. So the beginning of the Mishnah, the first line in the Mishnah, Shekarim Behem means, what do you read? In every shul, you read on Shabbos, you read Nevi'im. Shekarim Behem Nevi'im. V'shein Karim Behem, what can't you read on Shabbos? Ksuvim. You don't read Ksuvim on Shabbos. Aval pi sheksuvim b'chol lashon. Even though these are written in English, the loy nitnu likrois bohen. Okay, can't read it. V'ktani matzilin. V'tiyufta de Rav Huna. It seems like, even though it's written in any language, you could save it, and Rav Huna says you should not save it if it was written in any language, translated. Amalach Rav Huna, wait a minute. The whole Mishnah needs a fix. We need to re-edit the Mishnah. So if we're going to edit the Mishnah, let's edit it the way I like it. V'tizbra ema seifa tunim gniza. What does the Mishnah say? It says you should save this scroll. It was written holy, this nach, this Bible, call it whatever you want in English. You have to save it from a fire. No, so if you have to save it from a fire, that means it's kadosh. So what are you going to do with it? Not put it in gniza. Of course you're going to put it in gniza. So why does the Mishnah have to say you put it in gniza? Or Ravuna, this brami seifa to gniza. Hashtat so let's say the gniza mebaya. Of course, if you're gonna go be over Isidur Rabbanon to save it on Shabbos, carry it and bring it into a movie that doesn't have an Eruv and everything, so of course when the time comes and the Sefer Torah that's written in English is falling apart, what are you gonna do? Throw it in the garbage? Of course you have to put it in the gniza. Elo Ravuna metaris tatamei, Rav Chizda metaris tatamei. So each one is going to have to explain the Mishnah and add a word or two, and make the Mishnah work according to his own shita. That stays, and that's going to be a standard. Why we go back, it's not 100% clear, but we're going to explain the beginning of the Mishnah. Maybe you could stick in, let's say, she'en koyim behem means another language, let's say. It was so we know, we're going to explain. Bein she'koyim behem means Nevi'im. We read Nevi'im in a shul. Ubein she'en koyim behem is talking about ksuvim. We don't read ksuvim on Shabbos. Oh, here's the edit. B'med var mamurim, you have to stick in all these words. B'med var mamurim, sheksuvim b'lashon HaKodesh. When do you save something if it was written properly in Lashon HaKodesh? Ava b'chol lashon ein matzilin. So here's an edit. So I just printed it out so you could see. Everything in red is added by Rav Huna. Everything. Kol kisvei HaKodesh matzilin roisim ibnei adleika bein ksuvim bein shein ksuvim. Ben koyim ben shein koyim ben. Right? Dot. And then he sticks in the red. B'med var mamurim shiksuvim b'lashon HaKodesh. Now instead of saying afal pi, he takes out the afal pi. In our Mishnah it says afal pi, takes it out completely, and he goes aval. Avachol lashon ein matzilin. And then he sticks in vafilu hachi. Okay? It's a lot of editing. Now, just if you have the question, how could he edit so much and stick in so many words? So the true answer is that it's not a true edit. It's an edit for us to understand what the Mishnah is saying. He read it without the edit. To him it was pashut. Nevertheless, he stuck it in. That was how they understood the Mishnah without these edits. For us to understand it, these edits are for us, common folk, to understand what it says in the Mishnah. B'med v'mamurim, they didn't have to stay b'med v'mamurim. They never said it like that. They read the Mishnah as is, obviously. That's how everybody memorized it. And it meant to them, and they understood. When do you save a Sefer Torah? When it's written in Lashon HaKodesh. That's it. When it's written in English, you don't save it. Nevertheless, says the Mishnah, even though it's written in English, you have to bury it. Okay, that's a chiddush. That's a very big chiddush. You ask me, why do you have to tell me to bury it? I'll tell you why you have to bury it. You have to bury it because you don't save it. If a big fire comes, let it burn. With Hashem's name, let it burn. I don't care, let it burn. You don't be Mechal Shabbos. You don't start carrying on Shabbos. Oh, so if you're going to let it burn, maybe when it rots, when it's 400 years old, maybe just throw it in the garbage. No. Afal pishiksum b'chalashayin tuning gniza. That's what the Mishnah says. And it fits in very nicely, actually. If you think about it, it fits in well. Now, Rav Chizda metaris tamei. Rav Chizda has to edit it his way. Bein shekorim bem neviim ubein shein korim bem ksuvim. That everybody agrees. He agrees to Rav Huna that that's the beginning of the Mishnah. Whether it's neviim that you read in a shul, and whether it's ksuvim that you don't read at all on Shabbos. Bein shekorim bem ksuvim. Ava bishik ksuvim b'chalashayin. And he doesn't edit this. This is what it says in the Mishnah. What do you do? Matzilin. That word is not in the Mishnah. Oh, you know what? I have to edit my thing here. Matzilin. Here we go. It's not in red. I just had a circle. You see? Matzilin. I just circled. That has to be red. That circle. That is not in the Mishnah. Matzilin. I printed it at 7:05. My bad. Okay? I have to go back and redo it. So he adds this word right over here, matzilin. That even though I highlighted this, nami matzilin. Okay, fine. The point is that even though it's written in another language like English, you must save it. So how do you read it? Period. You have to save it. Another halacha, tunim gniza. They also, you have to, but what does it mean tunim gniza? We had a big question. If you have to save it and be Michal Shabbos to save it, so of course, when the time comes, you have to bury it properly. The answer is, we're not talking about burying it normally. The answer is, Vachika Umekek Shilohem Tuim Gniza. What if it falls apart? It's rotted. There's nothing left. Worms got to it and they left a pile of nothing. A pile of parchment that looks like this. Mekek. That's a big chiddush that you need to bury it. Okay, now we're going to attack Rav Huna. Rav Huna says you don't save a sefer that was written in another language. Meisvei hayuksuvim targum. If these svarim were written in Aramaic, the chalashoin and in English, matzilin oisav nead leika. It says mefurish matzilin. You do save. Big question to Yufta the Rav Huna. Amar Rav Huna, hay tana sovar nidnu likros b'hem. Brushes it off. I don't care about this kasha. That goes according to the mandama that says you're allowed to read from it. You're allowed to read from it. You have to save it. I don't hold you're allowed to read from it. I can't hold it. You can save it. But this is a bigger problem. Tashma hayuk suvim giftis. Different languages. Giftis, modis. Giftis is like an Egyptian language. Oh, this is probably Rabbi Schoenberg's big mumchashkeit, right? You know what this giftis stuff is, right? Giftis and modis. This is Rabbi Schoenberg's daf kuf tezvav, because it talks about giftis and Yevon. Then it's going to talk about inks also. Oh, mamish Gan Eden. Modis, Ivris, Elamis, Yevonis. Now the only one that I know about is Yevonis, and that we say that Yevonis has a special halacha that you can write a Sefer Torah in Greek. Fine. Let's just read these words. Look at what it says here. Even though you cannot read from it, what does that mean? You can't read. Why? Because you're not allowed to translate. You're not allowed to do it l'chatchila. Matzilin oisav nead leika. Now, if you're reading it just as is, it says mefurish here. Afapi shaloi nitnu likros, meaning I cannot push it off like Rav Huna pushed it off and says, oh, this goes according to the Tana that says you're allowed to read from it. No, it says mefurish. You're not allowed to read from it. Loi nitnu likros. Nevertheless, matzilim miyad. This is checkmate. He can't get out of this one. He can't defer. It goes according to the other mandomer. No, even the other mandomer says over here, you could. Hi, Tzvi, fine. I want to say hello. I was looking for you for a few days. How you doing, Tzvi? I should say Mr. Fine. And I'm waiting for an email from you. Your son was telling me when you started learning. It's a record. So write me an email, please. Shkoyach. Tiyuvta the Rav Huna. So how does Rav Huna get out of this one? Tanoi. At the end of the day, he has a Tana that I could rely on. This is a machlokes Tanoim, and Rav Huna says like one Tana. If these svarim were written in Aramaic or any language, you could save it. No, so that's not Rav Huna. Matzil b'nei adleika would almost sound like Rav Chizda. We'll see in a second. Oh, beautiful. So Rav Huna, the Amoira, has a Tana to rely on. His name is Rabbi Yosi, and Rabbi Yosi says you don't save something that's translated. A translated Navi, Nach, you don't save from a fire. Rabbi Yosi says, Maisa ba'aba chalafta. There was a story with my father. His name was Chalafta. Points out to Rabbi Kiva Eiger, how are you allowed to say your father's name? It says in Kiddushin, you're not allowed to say your father's name. And the Rambam Paskins, you're not allowed to say your father's name. From here you see, says Rabbi Kiva Eiger, that it's if you give your father an honorary name, Ba'aba, he called him Abba Chalafta. You could call him Rebbe. If your father's name is Shimon, you're allowed to say Rebbe Shimon says. You don't call him Shimon, but you say Rebbe. That's what he says. From here he says, because he called him Abba Chalafta. So my father, Abba Chalafta, went, Sholach Eitzel Rabbi Gamliel Beribi. He went to Rabbi Gamliel Beribi, says Rashi means the Gadol. And we'll see who he is in a second. Litveria.
That's like the son of Reb Chaim saying, Reb Chaim says?
Yeah. Reb is fine. Or Abba Chaim. Abba Chaim.
Saba.
Saba is beautiful, but he says If he says Chaim, that's a problem. Yeah. Listen, anybody that says Chaim would have a major problem. You don't call Reb Chaim. Everybody has to call him with a little bit of a Hashem Levai. So, here, real quickly, I pulled this out of Brachas. And this is important for us now. Oh man, you can't really see this. Fine. What's going on here is follows. I'll say about Peh. Hillel, the famous Hillel, he's all the way on the top. Look at the lineage here. Look at the yichus, crazy yichus. And it keeps on going actually. Hillel, who was 100 years before the Churban of Bayis Sheni, he had a son, his name was Rabbi Shimon. And he had a son, Rabbi Gamliel HaZaken, the famous Rabbi Gamliel HaZaken. So keep note to this Rabbi Gamliel HaZaken. It's not that complicated. I'm just giving you a little history because Rashi brings it down. Rabbi Gamliel HaZaken had the famous Reb Shimon ben Gamliel. We always have in Shas Rashbag, Rei Shin Beis Gimel, Reb Shimon ben Gamliel. He was from the Hasarai Rugi HaMalchus. He had a son, Rabbi Gamliel. And that's the Rabbi Gamliel we're talking about right now. I'll remind you, the famous story in Masechtas Brachas, the Rabbi Gamliel, he punished Rabbi Yeshua, he made him stand up, and everybody got mad at him, why are you making him stand? And they kicked him out, he wasn't the Rashiva anymore, and who did they bring instead? The story that we say in the Haggadah, Reb Elazar ben Azariah, Harei Kivin Shivim Shana. That story, that's where it says, Harei Ari Kivin Shivim Shana. Right over there. So who is Rabbi Gamliel? He was the Galadar, he's a Rashiva, but they got rid of him because he disrespected Rabbi Yeshua. Remember that famous story? And that day they opened up the Beis Medrash and 400 new benches of people came in. The whole story. Who is Rabbi Gamliel? Rabbi Gamliel was, Rabbi Gamliel was the grandfather of Rebbe. Rebbe who wrote the Mishnayos. And Rebbe, by the way, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, he actually had two sons. One of his sons was Shimon, and the other one was Gamliel. Shimon and Gamliel. So it kept on going. Look at this. It's unbelievable. So who's Rabbi Gamliel's grandfather? If you go up, Rabbi Gamliel is Gamliel. Rabbi Gamliel of the story of the Agada, his grandfather is Rabbi Gamliel HaZaken. And his grandchild is Rebbe. Okay? That's all we have to know. So says the Gemara, there was a Ma'isa ba'aba chalaf shalach etzel Rabbi Gamliel. Beribi. Okay? So Beribi makes a lot of sense now. He was the Galadar, he was the Rosh Hashiva, he was a great man, Beribi. There was a person only mentioned one time in Shas I found. His name was Yochanan Nazov. Some people say he was Becher, whatever, but maybe let's just say his name was Yochanan Nazov. Ubiyadei Sefer Eov Targum. He had Eov with the translation of Eov in Aramaic, because that's what they spoke in those days. And he was reading. Amar La, Rabbi Gamliel tells him, Zochani Rabbi Gamliel Avi Avicha. So sorry. Rabbi Gamliel, yeah, I saw your grandfather, Rabbi Gamliel, he was in Harabayis. This exact story, there was an Eoiv with a translation. And a guy was building over there, and he tells him, put it on you got to bury it immediately. So too, they said, okay, bury this Eoiv right now, and they buried it. So you see, you're not allowed to have translation. This is Rabbi Yossi that holds you're not allowed to have translation. They didn't bury it, they put clay over it. Omar Rebbe, says Rebbe, the grandchild of Rabbi Gamliel, says, now we know who Rebbe is. Rebbe is Rabbi Gamliel's grandchild, who's Rabbi Gamliel's grandchild, the original barrier of Eoiv, and the second barrier of Eoiv, and Rebbe says it's not what happened. They didn't have clay on Harabayis. They built it with trachsid. Remember, we had the sugi of trachsid. You have it on your house, you have it on the wall. Zecha Churban, trachsid. It was finer stuff. Rabbi Yehuda, whatever. What are you pouring stuff on this Eoiv? By you pouring clay on it, you're destroying it with your hands. Just put it in an unprotected place and let it go to waste on its own. Says the Gemara, Mantanoi. So who has these Tanaim that add up and equal the Machlokes of Rav Huna and Rav Chizda? Ilema, says the Gemara, Tanakama de Rabbi Yosi. So it makes a lot of sense to say this Rabbi Yosi that we just spoke about, that says you have to get rid of these translated documents. So the Tanakama in there will, if you say Rabbi Yosi fits in with Rav Huna, so the one that argues in Rabbi Yosi, right here in this brisa, is going to fit in with Rav Chizda. That makes the most sense for us right now. We have a machlokes Rav Huna, Rav Chizda. We have a brisa here with two shittas, Tanakama and Rabbi Yosi. So each one will take one, and we're good to go. Now we're turning the page to Daf Kuf Tezvav and Beis, sponsored by Reb Fischel from Official Catering. The whole Amid Beis is sponsored by him. Ilay Tanakama de Rabbi Yosi. Vidilma Bahakam Ifligi.
You don't call him by his first name. You have to stick in the red in front of it.
Look at him. Look how chashav he is. He has a beard. I don't. I have respect. The Mount of Chesed he does over there in Baltimore. Says the Gemara, Ilay Tanakama de Rabbi Yosi, which would make most sense for us. However, there's a little problem. Vidilma Bahakam Ifligi. Mar Savar Nitnu Likros Bahem. Umar Savar Loy Nitnu Bahem. Rav Chizda says, even if you cannot read from something, you're not allowed to read from it, you still have to save it. Right? We said the whole machlokes between Rav Huna and Rav Chizda is in a case, according to the Mandamar, that says you cannot read from it. But who told you that the person that argues in Rabbi Yosi holds that you have to save it, even though he holds himself that you can't read it? Maybe he holds the reason why you have to save it is because you could read it. It's a real Sefer Torah that you read from it. That's why he holds that you save it. You don't have any proof that Rav Chizda holds like him, or that he holds like Rav Chizda. Ella Rabbi Yosi v'Tanakama the giftis. So Rabbi Yosi from one brisa fits in with Rav Huna. That's great. Rav Huna has who the bisamechan. But who does Rav Chizda hold like? The other brisa that we said beforehand. Remember when I said Rabbi Schoenberg loves this stuff, giftis, and all these funny languages. And over there it says afal pi shaloi nitnu likrois. It says you're not allowed to read from it. That mandama holds matzilin. You still save it, even though you cannot read from it. That fits in perfectly with Rav Chizda. So Rav Chizda has a Tana to rely on, Rav Huna has a Tana to rely on, and we're good to go. New sugya. Tana Rabbanon habrachos. A person in those days they didn't have sidurim. Everything was Baal Peh. You weren't allowed to write a siddur, as we'll see in a second. So if somebody writes down the brachas in a siddur, Shemona Esrei, all brachas, vakamein, and he writes these amulets, even though it has Hashem's name in it, and all these different psukim, that Rashi brings down, or all different psukim they used to put in their kameyos. Incredible. Comes a fire and is about to consume Hashem's name. Let Hashem's name burn. And this is why people say, if you're going to write down a bracha, you're going to make a siddur, you should know you're like burning a Torah, because if a fire comes eventually, you can't save it. Says Gemara, there's a story when a guy wrote down, he was found, the people heard that he's writing a siddur. They told Rabbi Shmuel about it. He himself, he didn't send the shliach. He himself went to check it out. He's climbing up the ladder. So the guy writing the siddur realized, oh boy, I'm in trouble. They're coming to get me. Hirgish boy. Not out two moshe brachas. He took a whole stack of these brachas. B'shikum b'seifel shamayim. He got caught red-handed. As he's dunking all these shemos into water, so that Rabbi Shmuel shouldn't catch it. Rabbi Shmuel used these exact words: Gadol oynesh ha'achroi min harishon. Your second sin is greater than your first sin. You just erased Hashem's name. That's a lot worse than writing Hashem's name. What are you doing? Just not to get caught, you do this. Crazy. The Rosh Galos asked Rabbi Baravuna, okay, Rabbi Schoenberg, don't listen to this. Besam, with paint, with sikra, red pigment, bekumas, gum. I'm just translating from the Art Scroll, not the accurate Rabbi Schoenberg way. Ubekan kantoim and copper sulfate, and he said it's something else. I don't remember anymore. B'lashon hakodesh. So what happened? He writes a Sefer Torah perfectly, like we write it today, Lashon HaKodesh. But he used the wrong ink. Shaila. Matzilin oisam ibnei adleiko, oy ei matzilin. Can you save a Sefer Torah that was written improperly with the wrong ink? This wrong ink is not gonna last. It's gonna fade away eventually. It's not a good Sefer Torah. Says Gemara, Tiboy l'madam ha'matzilin, Tiboy l'madam ha'matzilin. You could ask this question according to Rav Huna, according to Rav Chizda, according to Rabbi Yossi, according to the other Tana. In other words, whether or not you hold that you save a translated script, you have the same question. Why? Even if a translated Torah, you have to save. I'm sorry, you don't save. That's because it's in English. But if it was written in Lashon HaKodesh exactly identical to another Sefer Torah, just in 10 years from now it's going to fade, so you should save it like you save any Sefer Torah. Now you could go the other way. Even if you hold that you have to save, sorry, let me repeat. Why don't you save those? Because it was written in English. But since it was written properly, you have to save it. Even a translated script, you have to save. That's because it was written properly with the right ink. You don't save it. It makes sense to me. You don't have to save it. Rav Nuna says you don't save it. Now, I saw in the Mishnah Berurah this morning, he brings that a Sefer Torah that was written with puzzle ink, you're not allowed to read from it. Also to read from it. Why? Listen, you hear the chap here? Any Navi, a Sefer Torah that was written in English, you could read from it. But a Sefer Torah that was written with this sulfate, this copper sulfate stuff, you can't read from it. What's the difference? The difference is, the difference is, I allow you to translate the Sefer Torah into English because the times require it. We're forgetting, we don't know how to read, we don't know how to understand, so I allow you to translate the Torah into English, and therefore I can read it in English. But I never allowed you to write it with improper ink. I never said that you could write it with puzzle ink. There's no way to say L'Shem Afer D'Yisecha. And if there's no way to say L'Shem Afer D'Yisecha, says the Mishnah Berurah, therefore it's asur to read from it. Oh, so if it's asur to read from it, do I have to bury it? Yes, I have to bury it. Still Sefer Torah, I have to bury it. But the Chazon Ish comes up with the chap and he says you have to bury it, but not the same way that you bury Sefer Torah, which is in an earthenware vessel. You just bury it, and it could you just put it in the ground and that's it. Fine. Now, they asked Rabbi Bar Avuna, what about the Sefer Torah that's written with the wrong ink? Do you save it? Do you not save it? He says you don't save it. No, it's not proper. You don't save it. But he says, I have a brisa that says you save it. And how do you explain this brisa? You know what? I didn't know about this brisa. And if there's a brisa, I can't argue in a brisa. It's the Tanaim. I can't argue with it. So that's it. Done. I think you don't save it. The brisa says you do save it. Halacha is you do save it. I can't argue with a brisa. My Tanya, where does it say in the brisa? Omer Ravashi Kedesanya. Ein bein Sfarim Megillah. There's no difference between all the Ksuvim, all the Nevi'im, and Megillas Esther. Elo shasfarim nechtavim b'chaloshoin. I can write any nach in any language. Megillah, Achetei Ksuva, Ashur has to be written in Lashon HaKodesh, ala sefer, on parchment, ubediyoi, in the proper ink. In other words, other Svarim don't need the proper ink. So if they don't need the proper ink, I could save it, or I have to save it. You see what's going on here? Megillah Esther needs proper ink. that means all other Svarim don't need proper ink. If they don't need proper ink, it's a proper sefer. If it's a proper sefer, I must save it. So not like Rabbi Baravuna thought that you don't save it. You have to save any sefer that's written with the wrong ink, with the copper sulfate, you have to save it. If in the whole entire Sefer Torah I don't have 85 letters, you go in Parshas Vayibin Tzarayin, the small parsha that has an upside down nun in the beginning and end, we'll see a little bit about tomorrow. It has 85 letters in it. It's a small parsha. Not only is it a small parsha, it might be its own sefer by itself, the Gemara says. Matzilin oisa mepnei adleika, oye matzilin. In other words, I open up a Sefer Torah, everything's missing, it's all blank. All the letters fell off, Rahman al-Islam. But I have a base from the word Bereshis, and I have a nun from the Parsha Noach, and a lamed from Lech Lecha, and I keep on going throughout the whole Torah until I get to 85. What do? Do I save it or not save it? I have 85 letters scattered around the entire Torah. Amalei v'tibaylach Parshas Vayimtzarin Gufa. Just ask, what about if I just have the whole Sefer Torah, I only have Vayibin Tzar? Says the Gemara, the Chasar Parshas Vayibin Tzar loikim barley. Of course, of course I have to bury the kivin, the izbei haskarais, because in Vayibin Tzar Arayin has Hashem's name twice. All I need is one time Hashem's name, and I have to bury it just because of Hashem's name. Forget about the letters. I don't have Hashem's name, but I have 85 letters all over the place. You don't have to save it. If I take Aramaic and I switch it into Lashon HaKodesh, Umikro shiksovi targum uchstav ivris, matzilin mipnei adleika. I have to save it from a fire. Ve'in tzarich loymar targum shebe'ezov shebe'daniyel shebe'torah. And certainly, if I take the Aramaic in the Sefer Torah or in the Nevi'im, Ksuvim, and I switch it over to Lashon HaKodesh, targum shebe'torah ma'niu. It says in the Torah that Lavan said Yigar Sahadusa. These are words in Aramaic. These two words. It means the mound of the witness, Saduso, witnesses. So it says, if I take these two words and I flip it into Lashon Kodesh, I have to save it. Snu, so it's even two words. Says Gemara, no, you didn't understand what he meant to say. Kitanya hi lahashlim. If I have, let's say, 83, or no, not 83, but over here you have 3, 6, 9. So I'm missing 9 letters from the 85, so I could go and translate Yigar Sadusa, and now I have 85 letters. It doesn't mean that Yigar Sadusa by itself requires me to be matzel. Are they all together in one place? Or are they all over the place? Ravuna Omar mechunasais, Rav Chizda Omar afilu mefuzarais, even if they're everywhere. So over here, lelakit means I have to gather, I have to take it from all over the place. All over means that they're mefuzar, that they're not together. Why do I have to gather them if they're not together? In other words, they are mefuzar. 85 says, the amount that is in Vayibin Tzara, which is 85, matzilin. To the Rav, that's a good kash from Ravuna. Tergimor Rav Chizda, alibo the Ravuna b'tevos. Says the Gemara, no. This that it says that you gather, it doesn't mean you're gathering one letter from here and one letter from here. It means you're gathering these words. But the machlokes of Rav Huna and Rav Chizda is, what if the letters, the actual letters are all over the place? From here you can't bring a raya because we're talking about that the words are together. All right. Tomorrow we'll start over here from Tanu Rabbanon. Take it away, Noam, please. Bem, shkoyach. Take care of leader. Of Hershey.
Have to sign off with have a wonderful day.
Have a wonderful day. Now, after, maybe she come after Tillim.
Any update with Matzah?
What, for my son?
Yeah.
0. I'll probably start, I'll go back to Beis Medrash in a day or two. That's what we'll do.
You went for a test already? Went yesterday?
No. I'm not sure why. I told you, he was very scared, he tried to get out of it.
You have to apply for that test.
I know, but the school was supposed to administer the test. So I don't know what happened. I'm going to ask my wife what happened with that.
If you want
You have to go.
you go to the Yom Chodesh?
No, we don't have Israeli insurance, believe it or not. Mati, your app can figure out if a guy has corona?
Not yet, working on it.
Are you really working on it?
No, I'm joking. There's an Israeli company yesterday that sold millions of dollars, an American company, that could do urine samples from a photo.
Urine sample from a photo?
The photo could analyze the urine sample, and you could do it at home.
It would have saved me that whole busha I had in the elevator that day.
I'm sorry?
You remember the story when that whole urine sample spilled on me in the elevator? It could have saved me. A little picture would have saved the day.
Great day. Wonderful share.
Have a great day.
Shkoyach. Shmuli Lemmer, what time is it by you, Shmuli?
1:04.
1 o'clock? You don't have to go to yeshiva tomorrow?
Yeshiva starts 10:30.
Ah. COVID yeshiva, 10:30.
No, it's 10:30.
What?
We're starting the same of 10.
What happened?
We just got a message on one of the groups. Daniel Landau is looking for someone to say Kaddish for his grandfather's yurtzeit today.
Today?
Yaakov Shlomo ben Avram.
I'm going to be at a minyan. What's his name? Yaakov Shlomo?
It's Yaakov Shlomo ben Avram.
Have a great day, everybody.
Okay, Be'ezer Hashem. Yes, Yoel. What's going on, Rabbi Yoel?
I found a person who wants to buy your house.
No way. If you found somebody who wants to buy my house, I'll give you commission. How much commission do you want? How many dollars do I have to pay you?
No, I want to buy your house.
You want to buy it. So I'll pay you commission if you buy it.
No, you pay his mother the commission.
Listen, Yoel, what's going on here? This guy Fivish, you know Fivish? Fivish has your last name. What's going on? He adopted your name.
No, Bergman for president.
Bergman for president.
Ellie, you've got Daniel's grandfather covered for Kaddish?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yaakov Shlomo ben Avram. Oh, Aryeh is listening to some news in Chicago. I hear Albion and Clark.
I'm used to them.
So, Yoel, did you go to school yet? What's going on with school?
I'm still on the phone.
You don't go to school? You're doing it online?
On the phone.
Uh-huh.
Joseph, I have someone email you. Pull up our phone number.
Say again?
My phone number is worthless, Yoel. It's worthless.
I can't even phone Ravelli.
My wife doesn't call me anymore. Trust me, it's worthless.
I know. Shmuley Bible wants it.
Oh, Shmuley Filer wants it. But it's worthless for him also.
Tell him to send me an email, and I'll see what I can do.
It sounds good. Thank you.
Ravelli,
Yeah.
do you teach in yeshiva in Israel?
Did I go to yeshiva in Israel?
Want to?
Do you teach in yeshiva in Israel?
No way. I don't have time to teach. Who has time to teach? I give 2 daf yomi shiurim and I do the 8-minute daf. I don't have time. I wish there were more hours in the day. I wish.
And you learn yourself.
Well, I have to learn myself in order to prepare the shir and the 8-minute daf, which takes 4 hours just to prepare the 8-minute daf. So, yeah, there's a lot of, no more time. Why, where do you live again?
Toronto, but I was in Israel and Or Sameach, and if I ever visited, I would love to visit by. That's what I was asking.
If you visit, you have to come by to our base medrash in Ramat Beit Shemesh. That's what everybody does. Even Fivish was there 2 weeks ago. Everybody comes by. So, how's your list going? Did you start working on your list?
I did not.
You see, people push it off. Tomorrow. You have to have guts. Listen, you call up somebody, say, listen, I'm working on myself. I decided I need to start making amends with this. And you just call. You'll see it goes easy, one after another. Tak, tak, tak.
So, let's say, for example, they say, okay, you speak to them, they say machulacha. But what if they don't mean it? Like, meaning that you say it, and like you said, you're honestly, this is the case, you try to move forward. But let's say deep down, they may not know, so what now? Meaning, like,
why? That's not your problem, though. If they told you they're Michael, you don't have to be, you don't have to have Ruach HaKodesh and know what they're thinking. If they said it, then that's it. That you tell Hashem, He told me He's Michael me, so I have to go into His kishkis and figure out that He didn't really mean it. He said He's Michael. That's it. I don't think that's a problem.
Like, for example, like,
If you see that He's disingenuous, that He's not saying it seriously, that's something else, maybe. But if he says, no, I'm Michael you, that's it. That's all that's required, that you should say those words.
So halachically, all that's required is that you say, is that you ask for forgiveness, and then he says, machul lecha, like, I don't know how you say it exactly.
I don't know that he has to say those exact words. Yeah, I'm Michael you, machul lecha, whatever, I don't know. As long as he says he's Michael, you're Michael. He's Michael. Say, look, I'm turning a new page in my life. I was a big jerk. You have to put yourself really low. You have to say, listen, I acted really, I was terrible, I was not sensitive, and I'm working on myself. I realize what a terrible, terrible human being I am. And then you get, if you say, but you did this to me, and then they're not going to be Michael you. So you just ignore everything they did. Obviously, there's 2 sides to the story, and you might be right. But you put yourself really low. The lower you put yourself down, the easier it is going to be for that guy to be Michael you. Sure, most of the time the guy will say, no problem, I understand, and the story, shalom. And if you took something from the guy, if you owe him money, then you pay it back, restitution. But if it's about just a fight, you said this and he said that, I think that's the best way to do it. You make yourself really low, without excuses, you know what I mean?
You said you have like one more person, and I was like, wait, but I like it, like if you went to him and you asked for forgiveness, and then you brought him, like, meaning you're good to go, right? Like, meaning you tried your best, you tried to appease him, and like you don't have anything to worry about, do you?
Do I have a halacha? It's not about halacha. I have a conscience. I feel bad that this person is still upset at me. I don't really even know what I did to them, but they're upset, and I try every once in a while. I call up and they tell me the same thing. I don't think you really mean it. Blah 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 blah, and they hang up on me. So whatever. Once in a while, when I have patience, I go through the whole process and I send some people and this and that.
You gotta roll deep belly with a minion.
With a minion?
I've got a curiosity question.
Yeah.
For you. Why 8 minutes? Why not the 10-minute daf? What was the reasoning behind 8 minutes?
Well, would you watch it if it was 10 minutes? 8 minutes is better than 10.
It's like 9.99.
Hello, first of all, after I did it, somebody, I don't know who it was, somebody sent me a great clip. It was literally It was the 8-minute abs. Two guys were sitting in a Blockbuster, and the guy goes,
It's from the movie There's Something About Mary.
there you go. And the guy goes, I have the greatest
Highly
idea.
appropriate.
I have the greatest idea.
Don't forget, we're still running YouTube.
Yeah, but look, everybody's... Well, it's appropriate. The guy said 7-minute abs. Imagine if you walk into Blockbuster and you see two videos. One is 8-minute and one is 7-minute. Which one are you going to take? And it's literally what I'm thinking. No one in the right mind can do a 7-minute daf. It's impossible. I tried it. I can't even do 8 minutes. So that's it. They're not going to be able to do 7-minute daf. Truth is, I don't know. I just fiddled around. I figured in my head it's 8 minutes. Now, I'll tell you why. Because before I started the 8-minute daf, I was doing something on Thursday night in my house. I was giving over the 7 daf of the week. So people sat around my table. We had about 35 people every Thursday night. I gave out chont. They came really for the chont, not to hear me. But that was my reason of preparing this. So I would spit out the entire 7 daf of the week. And it took me about 7-8 minutes per daf. That's how I figured it. So once I had that done, I said, look, if I'm going to do it on video, let me just be cautious, and I'll add another minute to the 7, call it 8. I don't know. That's how...
So why do you keep it Thursday night Chazara? Skip the 9 o'clock share and do a Chazara Thursday night.
All you need to do is watch 7 of my 8-minute dafs, and you're good to go. You don't need me.
No, we do it in person Thursday night in the shul, and then do I center.
It was very hard. You know, it's another preparation. It's something else. It's something else to prepare. Thursday night, you get chont. You don't have to sit through the whole 7 daf. 1 daf is enough, and then finished. Yalla, I'm going to go daven.
I'm afraid that the chutzis are going to pray for Corona to continue.
Why is that? Why?
We love having you at home and spending time with us after.
After.
I jumped on YouTube to start my share, and I see you're still on live. I'm like, dude, I'm jumping on Zoom. I'm going to say hello.
Ravel, how did you start this? Like, what was the whole thing behind it? Like, how did you...
It was a slow start. Slow start.
Rockaway.
What?
Started for Rockaway many, many years ago.
No, I gave a daf Yomi shir. I gave a daf Yomi shir for 8 years in Chicago, in the Adas, for Ronnie Shabbat and a few guys. I did the whole cycle for 8 years. So I was always into the daf, and I needed something that gave me a, what's the word? Not incentive, something that a what?
Motivation.
Not a drive, not a motivation, something that kept me true, like I couldn't get out of it. What is it called? Maybe a commitment. Fine. I needed a commitment where I couldn't have excuses and this and that. So first, like I said, I started that Thursday night thing, and that was my commitment, and I forced myself. Even when I traveled to Chicago during the week, I don't think I ever missed. I would make it back for the Thursday night cheer. No matter what, I paid extra money for my flights. I cut meetings short. I would hop on a plane and get back Thursday night. And that meant that while I was at all these meetings in Chicago, and while I was on the plane, I never watched movies on the plane. I had to just pound out those 7 daf. And I'll come off the flight, I would be my eyes were like this. You know how it is, all the jet lag. Sit down at the table and give the 7 daf. And that went on for, 7 daf, and that went on for a couple years, maybe 2 years. And it was a very good commitment. But then people started saying, why are you doing this? Why don't you give us a daf yomi shir? So then we started daf yomi in Avodah Zarah. Smack in middle, daf chav ches. In the middle of a page, in the middle of a sugya. It was unbelievable. But it was about that commitment. That the 8-minute daf is also about me not having excuses to do other things. Because anytime I want to do this, trust me, I'm crazy. I told somebody the other day, I used to go to Eilat, scuba dive almost every week. I used to I was flying a plane and just filling up my time with crazy stuff. So now I don't have time to think about it. I can't go on vacation. I can't do anything. I put myself in this jam, so I don't have time and I can't think about anything else and whatever. It's a way to do it. Look, some people are naturally devoted to learning. They love learning this, that. Other people need excuses and they need things. You have to give a shir. So other people have a chavrusa, but a chavrusa you could just blow off. Today I'm not interested in coming. Yeah. So this the more people I have now, Now that I have this year, so we used to have 20, 30, 40 people, it grew to like 40 people, that was a huge commitment. But when I would go to Chicago, I didn't feel that bad. I had Noam Fix, and I had Menachem Mata, and worst comes to worst, Yedidi Kramer stepped it in. So people were upset at me, why'd you leave, but it was 3 days. Now I feel like really bad leaving because you have all these people that are used to my style, and then somebody else steps in, it's a completely different style, it's this and that, and what are they going to do? That sort of thing. So that's why I'm still here, that's why I'm on that streak. Now,
God made Corona because you locked you down.
it's not even a joke, it was a big bracha for me. For me it was a bracha. Yeah. Anyways, I got to go daven.
Are you paying rent? That's the question.
Who knows? I don't even know. We'll find out in a few years. It's not important, Mati. It's just not important anymore. I'm telling you, it's not important. The guy that takes care of my stuff, Benzi Friedman, he calls me every few weeks. He used to call me every day. Now it's like he can't even get a hold of me. He texted me yesterday, please call me. I forgot to call him. You know what I mean? He probably wants to tell me, hey, we need another $1 million. Could you please, I'm like, who cares? I got to prepare this year, dude. We don't have time for this stuff. Who has time? Mati! Yichab, what's going on? I'm 47 years old. I have a grandchild. I'm almost dead. You know what I mean? Life is almost over. Yeah, that's how it works, my friend. It's like this. Life goes like this. A second ago, I was married. I just got married. My first child was born. My child is already 25 years old. It's crazy. Life, I don't have to tell you. You guys know what I'm talking about. It goes like this. Look, he's shaking his head. Shaking his head. The older you are, the more you understand this. It's not a joke. We're sitting here making money, and another app, and another money, and another this. For what? Pretty soon we're not here, and then who's going to use the money? My kids. So I might as well do what I need to do right now. Well,
I gotta pay for my daughter to go to seminary next year.
Listen, you're still young. I'm not telling you to stop working. Chas v'shalom. I'm just saying the drive, what I felt is like, I felt like life is almost over. It is, I'm more than halfway through my life. So even if I live to who knows what, it's still more than halfway, right? And the life that I had until now went by so quickly. I remember when I was a yeshiva guy, Shmuley Lemmer's age. It was like yesterday. Everything's like yesterday. Just before you know it, boom, boom, boom. You get that white hair. All of a sudden you start limping. All of a sudden this part of your body stops working. You can't jump anymore. And then that's it. And then you start crying. So you got to come prepared. You got to invest for the future. You need money he needs money for his daughter's seminary, and I need money for my Olam Haba. What am I going to come up there and they're going to say, your bank account is empty, my friend. Empty. Because all you did all day is jumping out of planes and flying planes and scuba diving and going on vacation.
What?